If a person is suffering from muffled hearing, ear pain, or fluid drainage from the ear, he goes to see a doctor, and the doctor using a tympanometer determines that he is suffering from conductive hair loss. I, Umar Jawad, and Muhammad Ahmed will explain the proper working and functioning of that tympanometer. Now, what is a tympanometer? The tympanometer is a device used for the evaluation of the proper functioning of the middle ear. Tympanometer is used for the non-behavioral test of the middle ear. Tympanometer records the admittance of the tympanic membrane over a range of pressures. Now, this test is basically used for energy transmission of the middle ear to determine the status of the middle ear. Now, the basic principle behind the tympanometer is that when the pressure on the both side of the eardrum is same, the middle ear is most conductive. Let's say for some disease or due to any reason, the ear has uneven pressure behind the tympanic membrane and the ear canal. Then we have a conductive hair loss. Now the tympanometer has three main components: the microphone, the pressure regulation system, the speaker. The microphone to detect the sound reflected back by the tympanic membrane. The pressure regulation system is used to vary the pressure inside the ear, and the speaker is used to transmit the sound of a particular frequency to the tympanic membrane. Now, how the tympanometer work? The basic tympanometer working is that when the sound strikes the tympanic membrane, it causes vibration. Some of these vibrations are bounced back and are recorded with the help of mic. It is observed at different pressure like negative, atmospheric, and positive pressures. These tests include the tympanometer is performed when the tympanometer tests how much sound bounces off the tympanic membrane as a function of pressure change. First, the tympanometer start with the negative air pressure and transmit the sound of 226 hertz to the tympanic membrane, and it keeps on transmitting sound at different frequency and detect how much sound is being bounced back. When the least amount of sound is being bounced back, then it means that most of the sound is transferred to the middle ear. The, for the healthy middle ear, the least amount of sound being transmitted bounced back is at the atmospheric pressure. Now the rest of the presentation will be uh, delivered by Mohammed Ahmed.
My name is Mohammed Ahmed, and today the topic of my presentation is audiometer. So, prior to me, my group partner Umar Jawad discussed the previous topics. Now, I am going to discuss tympanogram. Tympanogram is actually a tent-shaped graph. It has two axes, horizontal and vertical. The horizontal axis of the graph shows negative, neutral, and positive air pressure, respectively, from left to right. The vertical one represents compliance from a minimum at a bottom to maximum upward in the axis. Following information are obtained from tympanogram: compliance with the middle ear system, air canal volume, and middle ear pressure. And fourth one is pattern correlated with various disorders related to air. Now this topic is continued in next slide. When the tympanogram curve achieves normal maximum height and width of the curve is also at its max, then it is referred as type A tracing. When the curve is normal, it is a normal middle air mechanism. In type A curve, a tall peak indicates an abnormal compliance. It is observed in cases with ossicular chain dislocation and loss of elastic fibers in the tympanic membrane. This curve is denoted as AD. When type A curve shows the reduced peak, it is referred to as AS. It is indicative of osteosclerosis or thickened tympanic membrane. Type B refers to curves which do not have a sharp peak or edge, and a little or no variation is observed in impedance over a wide sweep range of the graph. This reflects the presence of non-compressible fluid within the middle ear space, and also indicates the tympanic membrane perforation like holes in the ear and debris within the external air canal. Now there exists a third type of graph called type C. Type C curve represents the peak compliance below zero, which reflects negative air pressure within the middle air space allocated for this pressure. This output indicates the dysfunction of a station tube or middle air fluid. While analyzing the data, our tympanometer often produces error messages. When the probe is not inserted properly or cerumen has occluded the canal, it may show the message block or dysfunctional. A poor seal associated with the probe tip can show the message open when it is correctly in between the middle air space. When an air canal does not receive the desired pressure secondary to an inadequate seal of the probe tip, it is indicated as leak. Now there are three type three types A, B, and C of tympanogram on the right of the slide. Now there is the block diagram for tympanometer. There is a microphone, then a pressure transducer, which uh, microphone and pressure transducer gives signal to the custom IC signal processor with, with which two batteries are attached, then AD converter, then there is a microcomputer or microprocessor we can say, then there are few functional things like keypad, pump, motor, and there is a display driver which displays the results. There is also a voltage regulator here. Then there at the end there is a LCD which works on the input produced by a display driver IC and shows it on the screen so we can view everything. Then there are diseases. Tympanometry can be used for detecting the presence of fluid in the middle ear, a middle ear infection, eardrum perforation, which are also called holes, stretching tube dysfunction, or any kind of infection in the stretching tube. This test is especially important for children who have middle ear problems like aches, but it is also sometimes given to adults as a part of a routine hearing test to determine if there are any middle ear problems contributing. Adults and children who are seeking medical clearance for hearing aids will usually receive a tympanometry test. Fluid behind the eardrum is most common cause of an abnormal tympanogram because it prevents the eardrum from moving and transmitting sound properly to the cochlear nerve. This condition is nearly always temporary or medically treated.